Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Lakers got the play-in game, 108-102 against the Minnesota Timberwolves here in Los Angeles. We got the victory, even though we had a bad game for the most part. It went similar to the way all Laker games have gone lately. We play down to the level of the opponent, and then we fight our way back, clawing tooth and nail, only to have a last-second opportunity that either goes our way or doesn't. We got this one into overtime. Even though we had a 3-point lead with 0.1 second to go, of course, Anthony Davis did what Anthony Davis tends to do this season, which is foul 3-point shooters at the worst possible time to close out a basketball game. This time was Mike Conley in the corner. He ran over there, fouled him as he was shooting a shot, a prayer at the buzzer. He hit all three of those free throws. He's one of the best free throw shooters in the game. And, of course, we went into overtime where we were able to secure the victory, but I was angry the whole time, just like I've been angry the whole time the last 4 games, dude. The whole time. Just sitting there pissed off the whole time. All the way to the end. I'm just angry. But honestly, this is one of those games where it's like, okay, if this were another game in the regular season, I would break it apart and I'd tell you guys how disappointed I am. I'm just happy we won the game, that we're in the playoffs, we get a week of rest, and we get a chance to see the Memphis Grizzlies instead of having to play for our playoff lives in a one-and-done situation like Minnesota's about to do right now against probably OKC. I really do think OKC is going to win that game against New Orleans in New Orleans building, but it could very well, of course, be New Orleans as well. Either way, that's not our problem. It's Minnesota's problem, and I'm happy about that. First of all, we got a lot of players to talk about because there was a lot of good going on down there from both teams. Anthony Davis definitely deserves a whole lot of credit, even though he had 5 turnovers, which I was not pleased with. He had 24 points, 3 blocks, 2 steals, I think 4 assists, like 17 boards or something like that. Very, very, very nice stuff all up and down the box score. Another guy that needs a lot of credit in the box score is a guy by the name of Kyle Anderson from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had 4 blocks, 4 steals, 13 assists, I think 14 points. It's just crazy numbers all over the place for Kyle Anderson. So I definitely wanted to shout him out as well. And then I want to give credit to my guy Dennis Schroeder, who was just clutch on both sides of the floor. The way he closed out to Anthony Edwards on one play was fantastic. The corner 3 that he hit that ultimately gave us the 3-point lead that AD ended up giving back, which should have been the game winner. And we won't soon forget that corner 3 that LeBron James was able to find him with some dribble penetration. Kick out to the corner. He hit that shot. It's fair and square. It's all net. One of the best clutch shots of his career. And it should have won that game, but nevertheless, he still was able to hit it and keep us close. And then, of course, in overtime, also played well on both sides of the floor. So for me, he was just absolutely and utterly key. And then you got to give credit also to LeBron James with 30 points, even though his plus-minus was not good. And the 5 turnovers, I'm sick of the turnovers. But all in all, I thought he did a very good job of staying aggressive, rebounding the ball, particularly I thought was very well. I think he had 2 blocks, a steal. Just really solid stuff from the King, giving us 30 points there. But we had some cold people too, man. D'Angelo Russell 0 for 8 from behind the arc. Was it 0 for 8? 1 for 9? Just terrible. Just awful. But he did have 8 assists, which I thought helped the team. Those assists are key. But I think Darvin Ham did a good job of getting away from him and staying true to the fact that if you cold, you don't need to be playing. So I thought that was a good move. Let's see, Troy Brown did some good things stealing the ball, right? Defensively, you want him down there for the length. He effectively did that. But the stats weren't there for the minutes given. You just want to see more out of Troy Brown. You want to see some consistency. You want to also have patience with him because he's a young player, et cetera, et cetera. It gets a little frustrating. Malik Beasley, 2 for 3. I thought we used him correctly. I think he had like 14 points, even though he was a -8. You put him in the game, the score goes down. I get that. I agree with that. I said that. However, I think he also did good things with the minutes, so I'm trying not to get on his case today. It was a quiet game, and it wasn't a whole lot to complain about, other than the fact that he's just a smaller person in bad lineups for himself. Not his fault. So there's that. Wenyen Gabriel came in, got 2 fouls, sat down, played a total of 2 minutes. Not what you want to see. Hopefully we can get him involved in the playoffs. Rui Hachimura, fantastic, +20. I think he gave us about 14 points, had some fantastic plays, even though we won't soon forget Anthony Edwards' block on him. That was a spectacular block. At the end of the day, I think Rue had a really, really good game off the bench and was key for us, hitting big threes, including that corner three down one of the three shots that he hit down the stretch, on the left side of the court. I think it was in overtime. Very big stuff. So all in all, I think he was very key in helping boost our bench, keep us strong in a night where a lot of folks were cold. Austin Reeves did not have a good game tonight, man. Not for his standards. I think he made his presence felt driving at the rim, played a physical game, but I think I'm not going to say injuries, but the way that he's been banged up over the last couple of games, I think it's kind of knocked him around a little bit and has him playing a little less than what he would normally give us. Shots are not falling like they normally do. Shot selection wasn't as great tonight, but all in all, I think he'll be somebody who benefits greatly from the rest that we're going to get for the next couple of days. So that's really what I got to say there. Not a great game for Austin for his standards. Let's see. Vanderbilt, same thing. Didn't have a good Vanderbilt night, but we also didn't call his number too much tonight, surprisingly. He did have some big plays, though. I want to say, with that being said, Vanderbilt was the recipient of some terrible calls tonight. Two blocks that I'm certain were blocks were waved away by the referees, who were especially suspicious tonight, if you ask me. I think the officiating was pretty trash through three quarters. I thought in the overtime and fourth quarter wasn't a whole lot that I remember that frustrated me, but through three quarters it was a lot of physical play that I just felt like they weren't calling nothing. Plays that they should have been on top of, just block shots, stuff like that, goaltending calls. Most of those need to be looked at again. So I just thought overall the officiating could have been a lot better, and I think the Laker fans agreed if you listen to the chant we had somewhere around the second quarter. So it was one of those type of nights we weren't happy with them at all. But it was hard to be happy with anything that we were seeing through most of that game. The Los Angeles Lakers put in rotations that were just not very good. The end of the first quarter rotation was trash. And I mentioned it in the halftime video, but I'll mention it again just for the sake of it. It was LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, Dennis Schroeder, Troy Brown, and Malik Beasley. Don't ever do that. Just don't ever do that, man. It leaves us too many holes in too many places. Defensively and offensively, we had struggles with that lineup, but it was more so defensively. It was just, it was horrible. You can immediately see what went wrong. It was that. As soon as he put that lineup on the floor, everything went wrong. So that's a lineup I hope that we can kind of get away from forever. Also, you really aren't helping your team when you have situations where you take Anthony Davis out, but you don't come in with Mo Bamba. You don't come in with Vanderbilt. You don't, no Winion. I'm telling you, the game was close basically because of that decision. He decided not to go with size tonight as usual, and allowed for the Minnesota Timberwolves to play a game that kept size, in their position. It got to a point where you look up, you're down by 11, and you look and see Karl Towns as the tallest player on the floor. And all day long we've been preparing, saying that if Karl didn't play, there wasn't nobody down there taller than 6'8". And we just played everybody short for them. It's like, oh, Minnesota, you guys, we feel bad about Nas and McDaniels and Gobert. So how about we just put everybody on the floor your height so we can make it fair? That's what I saw us do. It's exactly what I saw us do. And as a result, the game was close all the way. We had big leads we had to try to overcome. I think we were down by as much as 13 or some ridiculousness. It was just awful. Got to give credit to Karl Anthony Towns. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he needed to be phenomenal, and one of the reasons why they were able to overcome all that they did and have a chance to win that game was because of how efficient he was tonight. I think he was 6 of 8. Just really good stuff. Rebound the ball very well. For somebody who's dealing with an injury, I thought he showed us that that's still an elite, sharp weapon that he has there for himself shooting the ball. So, Karl Towns, he was definitely a contributor to great success for the Wolves tonight. And Anthony Edwards, not so much. He had a very, very cold night. He did kind of land on his shoulder in an awkward fall that kind of scared all of us. But, he wasn't able to ultimately recover from that fall. I think he was like 3 of 14 or something like that. As I've mentioned before, he just doesn't play well against the Lakers. Like, just about every game he's ever played against the Lakers has kind of gone something like this or a little bit better. So this was just yet more of the same for him against LAL. So got to give Mike Conley credit. Of course, he was phenomenal. Of course, he hit the three free throws down the stretch that they gifted him. But also, just corner three after corner three after corner three. He just was a surgeon all night long. And couple that with Karl Towns just made for a very, very difficult night trying to defend him. You know, they really didn't miss very much. And that's what was really there to see. You saw extremes on both sides as it pertains to players who were cold and players who were extremely hot. You just saw it both on both sides. Digging into the numbers, I believe the Los Angeles Lakers doubled their points in the paint. I believe that's how we ended up ending that, so we're pleased about that. Shot, I don't remember how we shot, to be honest with you. We're under 30% from behind the arc, so we definitely don't like that. They shot above 40%. So, you know, that was catering to why the game was so close, because they really did allow for a lot of shooting. But, you know, when we have nights where a guy like D'Lo goes 0 for 8, and you look down there, Troy Brown's like 1 for 5 or something like that. Dennis Schroeder wasn't very efficient from behind the arc. Austin 1 of 5, I think, from behind the arc. Rui was like inefficient as well from behind the arc. So it was just one of those nights where we shot too many threes and were able to get away with it. But the thing that I was worried about in regards to Bron shooting so many threes in the last games and how it would carry over us not being as efficient shooting as a team, it kind of carried over just like that. Other guys just kind of were a little more rampant with their three-point shooting, and that's just what we've gotten away from all season long. I'll remind everybody, the Lakers found themselves in a 2-10 deficit to start the season because we didn't know that we couldn't shoot. That was the main problem. Aside from everything else that we were dealing with guys out of the roster and things like that, the main problem was the Lakers hadn't developed the understanding that they needed to be driving the basketball instead of launching threes. When we finally started to figure that out and started to get guys healthier, that's when we started to really find some wins and start to string together what looked like a really good stretch of basketball for us before we made the trade. After we made the trade, we kept those tendencies. We kept the understanding that shooting the ball from behind the arc was something that we needed to respect all season long. And it kept us winning when we did it. But when we don't do it, we leave ourselves at a significant risk. And tonight was a night where we didn't do that. And we found ourselves in overtime against a severely undermanned and depleted team. And it should not have happened. We should have been aggressively trying to attempt more shots in the paint, in my humble opinion. And had more size down there to help us do that. And you got to give credit to Anthony Davis because he always is the beneficiary of all the small stuff that goes on, both with us going small ball so that he can get offensive rebounds on our team. So, you know what I mean? Because it ain't going to be nobody else getting boards. So he's able to clean those up. So he definitely takes advantage of all the smallness down there. But at the end of the day, it would be so much easier for him in his job if he didn't have so little support rebounding and supporting him on the weak side. It's just part of the game that needs to be respected by the Los Angeles Lakers. And we have the roster pieces to assure that we can, but we just forego that because of whatever. Because of Darvin Ham, basically. So I'm of the mindset that we played with our food all night long, and we went up against an especially anemic Timberwolves team that didn't know one another because of the obvious stuff that's going on with them. They scored 12 points in regulation in the fourth quarter. That's the lowest I've seen anybody score against us in any quarter this season. We scored 16 points on them in the same quarter. I guarantee you have any 16-point quarters any other time in this league, and you're going to lose that quarter. You're going to lose that quarter. That's why we were able to win, because we were going up against the only team that would actually lose a quarter where the other team scored 16 points. And this is what I'm saying to you. The Lakers ain't out of the woods. The Minnesota Timberwolves went 5 minutes without scoring the ball in this thing twice. It was 2 sets of 5-minute droughts where they did not score the ball. And we didn't score very much while that was happening. And that's why we were in overtime with a team that had that process go down in a game they were in. We didn't play well at all. And for every struggle that we thought Minnesota was going to have, we provided them something easy to make that struggle less difficult. And I'm telling you, There is no cluster of NBA players that this team can't lose to because of how easy we make it for the other team and how difficult we make it for ourselves. And it's just more of what we've seen. We've been seeing this for the last 2 weeks. We've been seeing this for the last 83 games, but most definitely for the last 2 weeks. Houston, Phoenix, Utah twice. We always do this. We push all of our worst, most least percentage stuff to the front of the class and tell it to answer all our questions. Hey, you, Malik Beasley, you ain't hit a shot in 3 weeks. Would you please do everything for us right now? As if we have nothing else to do. Like, that's what we do on a night-to-night basis. So you get to the play-in tournament, and that Tennessee rears its ugly head. It's just what it does. We had so much trouble inbounding the ball tonight. And it was one of those situations where after 2 inbound steals that we allowed the Minnesota Timberwolves to have, it was the last moment in the game. We had just inbounded the ball to Dennis Schroeder. We had maybe 21 seconds to go and we called a timeout. And then my thing was, we have had so much trouble inbounding the ball. We got the ball inbounded to Schroeder. Why did you call a timeout when we've had so much trouble inbounding the ball from that corner? And sure enough, he calls that stupid timeout. We get the ball out in that corner. We proceed to try to inbound the ball to D'Lo, and for a third time, they take the ball the other way. Tennessee's rears ugly head, and this is what I'm talking about. It's like, yo, we don't respect Tennessee's throughout the season, possibly, as it pertains to certain things. And we don't respect in-game Tennessee's just the same. It's like, yo, you just seen these guys take the ball from you in that same angle, in the same way, and you're going to run that same play. All you had to do was nothing. This is what I'm saying. We had the ball inbounded. All they were going to do is foul Schroeder, send him to the line, and we proceed to go about having the lead there. But no. We had to get in the way, didn't we, Darvin? We had to call a timeout right there to run a play that wasn't going to work because you ain't about to do nothing that's going to work in that situation. And he proceeded to turn the ball over in the same fashion that we had already done. So I'm so sick of this type of stuff, man. This is why I come to this camera with so much of an attitude as it pertains to this team. Because if they just didn't have this man in the way with his mediocrity, we would be blowing teams out. This is a game you win by 30. You don't have none of these problems. Not with the roster we got. You don't even have none of these problems. But because we're running with Darvin Ham, and because he believes that a size advantage is no advantage at all, when he sees a bunch of small people on the other side, that means we need to get smaller in order to have our situation at hand. And it's like, the score goes down because of it, man. It just goes down. It ain't even nothing you really even got to think about. You just watch the score decrease until he stops that nonsense. And when he stops that nonsense and puts AD and all the good players back on the floor, the score stabilizes. This is an everyday occurrence. This ain't no anomaly. This ain't no one-time thing that just happens against Minnesota. Nah, this is what happens every single night with the Lakers. And it's hard to watch because we almost lose every night, or we do lose every night, but we rarely blow anybody out. We rarely have any rest for our injury-prone stars. Stars injury-prone as hell, and we make the game absolutely easy for the opponent, so they have to play every waking moment, including overtime. And it's like we do so much that works against us in this way. And for somebody who's able to see it as it's starting to manifest and is seeing the tendencies as they form, it just makes you want to remove the people who cause those tendencies from the situation. That's all I know how to do. It's like, look, I see these tendencies and I know how to fix it. You remove Darvin, you get him out of there, and that's when everything will stabilize because he's the only thing in the way. Everything else is just players playing well. But it's this coach, man, and his philosophies and his way of playing chess that makes it so that the other coach is always in an advantage. It's an advantage that he gives his opponent each and every time he strategizes damn near anything. And I tell myself, I look in the mirror, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, yo, am I being too hard on the coach? Am I being too harsh? And then I look at the results. Like, never am I being too harsh. Look how hard it was for us to beat a depleted Minnesota team. And then I look back at all those rants I just had over the last several days. They're all merited. All of them are merited. Anytime I'm irrationally ranting at the end of a win, it's because I know we've done things that's going to get us beat next time. And if it doesn't get us beat, it's going to almost get us beat. And tonight, if we would have played anybody else, you would have lost. Anybody else, you would have lost. If Naz Reid was on the floor, you would have lost. If Rudy Gobert gave him extra 20 rebounds, you would have lost. If they would have had Jaden McDaniels playing defense, you would have lost. Any one of those things that they didn't have tonight, if it would have went well, you would have lost. If Anthony Edwards would have hit any of them damn threes, you lost. All of these different things that were teetering on whether or not we win just had to go a certain way in order for us to win. You know, we shot 91% or something like that from the free throw line. I don't remember the last time we shot 91% from the free throw line, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, Los Angeles. You finally hit your free throws. If you had not, you would have lost. It's like so many different things that normally don't go our way just went our way, including every bit of what was needed to be removed just so Darvin Ham's strategy could work. Basketball God removed everything necessary so we could have just enough to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves in overtime. I want everybody to let that sink in. Just enough. If they had a little more, they'd have beat us. And what was removed was just overwhelming, if you really look at it. I ain't proud. I'm not proud of. I'm happy and relieved that my team is still alive because I'm rooting for my team and want them to win. I'm proud of my players, Dennis Schroeder. I'm proud of certain players on the team. Anthony Davis showed up tonight. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of the fact that we were able to overcome what it was that came in front of us, even though we should have demolished it and wiped away with it. Should have saw Tristan Thompson tonight. Should have seen Shaq Harrison tonight. There should have been garbage time available to us. And we let Karl Towns look like Kevin Durant. Basically. So I'm a Laker fan who's happy to be in the playoffs. I'm moving on to play the Memphis Grizzlies, who's probably one of the more deserving teams of having to be eliminated for all the stuff that they've been doing all year long, talking crap and all the nonsense. I know I got a roster that can match up with them very well, and I know that some of their tendencies should play right into my hands. Dylan Brooks and his missed shots, Jaren Jackson and his fouls, Kenny Lofton and his young youthfulness, John Morant and his mental health. All of these things should work in my favor. Steven Adams is not there. I misspoke and said he would be easy to mow down in one of the videos. That's not what I meant. I meant the fact that he's not there should make it so that their team was easy to mow down. I was speaking too fast, thinking too slow. That's exactly what that was. So for those who remember me saying that, I know he's not out there. But it's one of those situations where it's like, with all of that there, that makes me like my roster versus there. No Brandon Clark, no Steven Adams. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot there for me to like. The one thing that gives me a concern is the fact that I look over at Darvin Ham and I say, man, you're going to make sure they have everything they need to be able to strategize against us properly, aren't you? You're going to make sure that John Morant is able to jump over everything we got down there, aren't you? Because it ain't going to be no Mo Bamba. You ain't going to put William Gabriel in no situation but an undersized center role where he's going to be leaning up against people much bigger than him. That's the only time you want to use the man. You're going to make sure that Beasley gets his shots whether he's on or not. And there's going to be no pecking order whatsoever as pertains to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So whichever one hits more shots is the one going to be shooting. And for me, it's like, I know Memphis has a smart coach over there, man. He's really, really good at what he does. And if we come in doing the things that we've been doing, that we've been prone to do, we're going to have another third quarter like we had against the last time Memphis was out there with John Morant, and he had like 20 points in the third quarter, some ridiculous triple-double with 30 points. Like, you know what I mean? These are the things I'm worried about as it pertains to this matchup with this team. They're big, they're strong, they got long players, they got a deep team. And they got heavy players that are going to lean up on us and make us work hard. Physical matchup, battling matchup. So I'm not thrilled about the matchup itself, but I am happy that we do not have another play-in tournament game to stress over. That I am happy about. So that's really where my head is. Salute the Kobe minute. I passed it up. I didn't even look at the clock as I was talking, but I definitely want to salute Kobe. There was a lot of Kobe memorable stuff. 24 turnovers for the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm sure they were celebrating Kobe in that regard. What else? I think somebody else had 24 points. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Anthony Davis who walked in there with like 24 points. There was a lot of 24s everywhere. 0 for 8 missed shots from Anthony Edwards. You know, just Kobe was all through this thing. But honestly, I just don't know about what I should feel other than just the more of the same, you guys. I think we've been getting away with a lot, and tonight was just another example of that. But you can see if a team has a little bit more how bad we probably get our butt whooped. You can see if Nas Reese is out there getting 10 rebounds, 20 points, or forced 3-point shots, we lost tonight. Like, there's just stuff that Minnesota otherwise would have had that would have beat us, and we know it. Ain't no question about it. Ain't no question about it, and that's why it becomes frustrating, because I look at our roster and say, but that ain't true. And if we got a real coach down there doing real stuff, that ain't true. That's only true if we got Darvin Ham going up against those circumstances. If you put, man, I don't even want to finish the sentence. But I just want the Los Angeles Lakers to win basketball games. We're happy to win this basketball game. Had we not won this basketball game, I don't think my tone would be much different than it is right now. I don't think so. To be honest with you, I'm happy to make the playoffs. Don't get it twisted. But I don't know how far we can actually go with this coach, man. I don't actually know. If we're not unhappy today, we're going to be unhappy tomorrow. Either way, I'm just anticipating unhappiness and an elimination at some point because of this. And so I would love to be the guy that's up here, oh my God, we're the best, oh my God, and all kinds of other stuff. But man, I'm not wired like that, bro. And you come here for the authentic. And chances are my antennas, I'm learning to respect and trust my antennas, so to speak, as it pertains to this game and this league. The more and more my predictions fall in line, especially these pessimistic ones, the more and more I realize I need to just trust these instincts. And so I'm happy to win. I expected to win. I told you guys we weren't going to lose. Even if we fell down by a lot, they just weren't going to be able to out-rebound us. We out-rebounded them by 11. They just didn't have enough at all. But the fact that we were able to get an overtime game, they were able to get us to the brink, just speaks to how far down we will dumb it for our opponent. That's all we learned tonight, is the Lakers really don't have a floor. If we're playing against a bunch of 4-year-olds, we will definitely dumb it down somehow to allow them to compete against us. This is not something I'm playing about either. I'm serious. Whoever the opponent is, we will come down to you. Don't worry about it. We're coming to you. That's what I learned. So for me, there was a lot of people who deserve the game ball. When I look at the offensive rebounds that Anthony Davis had, I think he had like 8 offensive rebounds. That's absolutely crazy to me, man. You got to give him credit for those rebounds and the block shots and the steals and all that. So I want to give him the game ball. But Dennis Schroeder made some incredible plays tonight, man. He was an emotional leader tonight. He was the guy that never said die. He was the guy that was putting us in positions to continue to get the big stop, the big shot, the big layup, 8 for 8 from free throw line. We don't win without his heart tonight. We don't win without his ice in his veins tonight. Dennis Schroeder gets the game ball from me from an emotional standpoint. He did not play better than Anthony Davis. He did not play better than LeBron as a total, as a whole. He didn't play better than Dennis. Dennis. Yeah, he didn't play better than the guy in the mirror. He didn't play better than Rui Hachimura as it pertains to the plus minus. But he did make the big plays that ultimately got us the win. He did keep the poise necessary after hitting the big shot to come in overtime and continue playing well. Throughout the entire game, even in rolling his ankle again, I almost forgot about that. I did mention it at halftime. He rolled his ankle. We kept him out there. He ran on it, probably made it worse. Kept playing. The man has unbelievable ankles. They just roll and it's no problem. And he stayed in there. He stayed in the game just like he did last time he rolled it. He stayed in there and he helped us win. So I'm giving the game ball to Dennis Schroeder. And I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm able to give him the support and the praise that he deserves on this night. Because we've been talking a lot about how he's been an unsung guy all year long. He's one of those guys it's easy to forget about things that he's doing right when he's out there balling, filling in for stars when they're not out there playing 30 and 40 minutes. It's easy to ignore that. And it's even easier to point out his mistakes when he's missing shots, turning the ball over, not doing whatever it is that we want to see him do, giving us DSBS. He's one of the easiest guys to pick on. And so for me, it's like that pendulum where it's easy to ignore your good and easy to get on your bad. Nah, I hate that. I'm getting rid of that. And I started realizing that that's something that I had been doing on this channel about a month ago. And I just started making a concerted effort to start giving him more credit. And in doing so, I've just been paying more attention to him, and he's playing well for us every single night. And it's getting easier and easier to pay attention to the good things that he does. The defense he provides, the fact that he drives to the rim and gets to the line just as much as anybody. And makes his free throws most of the time, too. Even though his inefficiency is pretty consistent, and his bad turnovers do take place, he makes up for it by doing things defensively. He makes up for it by being clutch. He makes up for it by driving, continuing to be aggressive and passing the ball to others and making plays for others. A lot of times when we don't have any continuity, you look up and you see assists from him. Usually it's him who has a night like D'Lo had tonight where he's shooting poorly but getting a bunch of assists to help with that. So I think he's been deserving of a big support, a big praise all year long for just how good of a sport he's been about this situation. Coming back to the Lakers, after the history of everything with him in his whole free agency process 2 years ago and just the whole journey, seeing where he's at tonight in a play-in tournament game where it's fight or flight, sink or swim, and he rises to the top and shines in the bright lights on the big stage in the big arena. I think he earned himself some money tonight. I think he might have earned himself some security in this league going forward, which is what he's been fighting for the last 3 years. So hopefully he can continue to have a fantastic playoffs. And for everybody who's going to need to remember, he had a great deal to do with why we have this playoff berth. Because if he didn't hit that three, and if he didn't make some of them plays we had tonight, I'm pretty dang certain we don't win tonight, especially with D'Lo playing as poorly as he did. And Austin playing as poorly as he did. So Dennis having a big game was exactly what we needed to overcome this nightmare of a basketball game. It's exactly what that was. So, yeah, man, I'm happy Anthony Edwards went 0 for 8. I'm happy Ant-Man was not baby Michael Jordan tonight. That's what I'm happy about. Because if he was any resemblance of his regular self, again, going home. So much had to go in our favor, man. That's what bothers me. It's like, with my roster being so dang talented, why does so much have to fall into my favor for me to win a basketball game? And answering that question just makes me sound like a butt of a person, like a jerk, basically. You know what I'm saying? It's the coach. It's the coach and the people who allow him to do whatever it is he does. Whoever it is that wants to run small ball, whoever it is that continues to have us do the same stuff that does not work over and over again. Same person who wants to go with offense over defense when you have none but defensive players. It angers me too. Because I listen to what he's saying at halftime. He's talking about, we just got to play better on the defensive side. No, you got to strategize defensive players so that we can have defensive stops. You can tell Malik Beasley and LeBron James and all your worst defensive players to play defense and that you're disappointed that they don't. But the reality is, if you don't put your best defensive players on the floor, you ain't getting no damn stops, bro. You can rah-rah yourself to death. You put the wrong players on the floor, they're going to do the wrong thing. So that's what needs to be said. I'm sick of him and his nonsense as it pertains to telling our players that they need to play harder or they not going tough enough or we just need to fight harder. No. None of that. You need to not do the stuff that you do that puts him in positions to not look as good, man. Not calling bad timeouts, proceeding to put us in positions to turn the ball over in the same way we did the last 2 times. Not putting people on the floor that you know ain't going to score at all, but asking them to shoot the ball 100 times. These are the things that make it so that you have to say these things about your players. Not their effort or any of that. So, Congratulations to the Los Angeles Lakers for making the playoffs. And that's what I have to say about the situation at hand, man. I'm just concerned that we're gonna even, that the worst is going to take place in these playoffs because we just don't find ourselves smart as a basketball club, despite being ridiculously talented. You know what I mean? So that's what it was, man. Wish I would have saw you tonight, Mo Bamba. Wish I would have seen you tonight, Winion. Wish I would have seen you tonight, Max. Wish I would have seen you tonight, Lonnie, Shaq, Tristan. All the people that never play, who won't be playing. I told y'all you wasn't going to see Tristan Thompson. You probably won't ever see Tristan Thompson, just so y'all know. You probably won't ever see him in this uniform. Because our coach doesn't believe in playing to our size advantages. So if a guy's brought in to be a center, we barely play the centers we have. So don't expect to see him. That's what it is, man. Pessimism and waiting for the worst, because I know we are going to make life so hard for ourselves every single time. So we won tonight. It ain't nothing to cry home about. We are happy about our circumstance. The rest will be great for this team. The rest will be great for the team. And I am overly joyed at the fact that we just ultimately kept some good chemistry tonight. I saw Bron and AD to look a little more, look like they're ready to build the chemistry once again, man, because it seemed like it took a turn for the left. But just like Darvin said, we got a clean slate now. You know what I mean? We starting fresh. Ain't no record. We get to set this tone with our new group, and we get to see what we're going to do. And I agreed with that. I definitely agreed with that. Ain't no record. The playoffs start now. We got a chance to strategize against one team. So what I want us to do is trust our scouting department, who's doing homework on that team, and pay attention to the tendencies of this team as current as they could possibly be. Current tendencies, and respect those tendencies. And please find it in your heart, after all of these 150,000 rants, all of these See Ya Laker fans saying the same damn thing, find it in your heart to see size as an advantage, please, Darvin. Please. Basketball is a sport where the ball goes up, which means taller people have the easiest chance to get to it, and shorter people have the hardest chance to get to it. So if you leave one tall person next to four short people, and he's going up against 4.5 tall people, chances are that tall person is going to be overworking, because those other four aren't going to be able to meet the size necessary to make his job easier. And these are the type of problems that the Lakers run into while they're focused on things that have nothing to do with that. You make life harder on Anthony Davis. You make life easier on the other people who are guarding him, because everybody on Anthony's team is tiny, man. Tiny, bro. And it leaves all types of opportunities for the other team to attack us defensively. It's like leaving the door open for someone to walk in. That's all it is. And of course they're going to walk through that door. If it's 4 doors locked and there's a fifth door, everyone's going to come through that fifth door. No one's going to go crazy looking for a damn key. That's what Darvin needs to understand. As soon as you put any 2 small people on the floor, whether it be Lonnie, Dennis, Malik, whoever it is, you're leaving one door for everybody to walk through. That's basically it, man. So my irritation, the fact that I've had to say this about 83 times, just makes me, just reinforces my opinion about what we need to do at the end of this playoffs. If this man don't win us a championship, or we don't get to the finals, or some type of really, really spectacular stuff that this roster would otherwise be capable of doing, if he underachieves with this roster, I want him to be fired. It ain't because I'm mad. It ain't because I got some angry, nothing. It's none of that. I just a result-oriented. We have a win-now timeline. And I don't think we're getting rid of Bron and AD, which means next year is going to be a win-now timeline. And we ain't going to have people who don't respect size ruining our record and ruining our playoffs hopes, man. We not. That ain't going to work. We're doing things differently now. When we hired Darvin Ham, we were thinking a different way. We knew things that we didn't know now. That's what I know. This organization has grown greatly since they made the acquisition to hire this coach. And so what we were looking at then needs to be revamped now. And if we don't still have him in mind for what it is that we're doing, we need to just continue to think forward and not worry about old mistakes and old tendencies that otherwise landed us old hires. Because I'm telling you right now, he doing a bunch of stuff that's rah, and we need strategy. Okay? We need strategy. So I know that we've made a shift somewhere in our organizational thinking, and I think that shift happened after we hired him. That's what I'm here to tell everybody. So, I'm cold, man. I'm sorry I'm cold. You know why I know that it's okay to be this way? Because if everybody does things the right way, which is what I think I'm leading everybody toward, they're going to be happy in the end. There's going to be some unhappy people who are not a part of this thing, right? But the way I see it is, removing those people, make it so that we can celebrate. If they still here, they ain't going to be celebrating with us because they're going to be the reason we don't. So they have to go in order for the celebration to commence. It ain't going to be no celebration if they stay. That's how I look at it, man. I ain't mad at getting rid of folks because at the end of the day, everybody has a place to be. And if this ain't your place, you're going to find your place somewhere else. I thought Mike Brown was a horrible coach for the Lakers. Look where he's at now in Sacramento. It took him to a path that led him to being the coach of the year, in my mind. He's where he needs to be when he needs to be there. But if we would have kept him all this time, we would have had a bunch of bad seasons led up all the way up to this. He would never turn into the Mike Brown we know right now. Same thing with Darvin Ham. Same exact thing. He'll find his way. But we just need to make sure the way that we give him ain't the way that's going to get in ours. That's where I'm at with it. I'm trying to win a championship. And the strategies are like literally the opposite of what's going to help me. Like literally the opposite. And so this is why we've been looking so bad for the last couple of weeks. This is why. And we can blame it on Anthony Davis not scoring enough. You can blame it on LeBron James shooting too many jumpers and not being there, whatever. You can blame it on everything. But ain't none of it going to pan out. Because what you're actually looking at is just bad strategy, baby. That's it. That's all it is. So, that's what I got to say, man. I don't like bullying coaches, bro. I swear I don't. I just want to see excellent basketball. And I want to see athletes in positions to succeed. And I don't want to see people running around on injuries because people ain't called timeouts or all kinds of other stuff that I just think is really stupid. Honestly. That's just what it is for me. So, thank God we won, man. Thank God we were able to secure our opportunity to play the Memphis Grizzlies. We will definitely follow that series and do all the homework necessary to give us what we need to prepare for it on the channel. I'm gonna sage and do a bunch of prayer to try to improve my attitude about my team. But I'm telling y'all, man, this is just natural reaction. When I'm happy, I'm happy. When I see what I need to see, you know what? I'm fair. I never deprave my team of the truth. If guys are balling, I tell you exactly that. When guys are garbage, I tell you exactly that. When a coach is coaching well, I tell you exactly that. When a coach is coaching poorly, I call that out, man. And right now, after yet another win, I'm calling out trash coaching because I saw trash rotations, bro. Trash. That made Minnesota look so dang good. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.